We're past the quarter mark of the season, so we're going to look at some of the global shark stats, see where they rank, and then dig into some of the offensive, defensive, and special teams rankings. So, all that and more on today's episode.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly a part of the Locked On Network, we cover your team every day, and if you want to be an everydayer, all you got to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well, or do both. Both is great, and today we're going to be kind of checking in, taking a step back and looking at some of the kind of the bigger numbers for the Sharks, look at some of the trends that we've seen so far this season. And as we've hit past the quarter mark, we're at 22 of 82 games this season, and just wanted to see where the Sharks sit right now. And spoiler, it's a lot of the numbers are near the bottom, as we'll get into. So a lot of graphs. If you're watching on YouTube today, a lot of graphs. If you're listening on wherever you get your favorite podcast, I will explain the graphs to the best of my ability. But it's just good to kind of see where we're at with the Sharks and why this season has kind of gone the way it has gone this year. So before we get into all that, do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you guys by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So let's start by digging into the 2024 San Jose Sharks and how they look this season. They are 32nd in point percentage. They currently have a record of 5-15-2, dead last in the NHL. 12 points, point percentage of 2.273. So they get a point basically a quarter of the games they play. Brutal. They're dead last in goals for, dead last in goals against, dead last in goal share, 19th on the power play, 31st in finishing, 32nd in expected goals for, 32nd expected goals against, 32nd expected goals share, 26th on the PK, and their goalies right now are ranked 19th from J Fresh Hockey. Just some big stats, but before we kind of, some of the team leaders, Tomas Hertl leads the team in points with 16 points. He also leads the team in assists with 12 assists. And then Zetterlund and Hoffman are tied in goals with 6. That is your leading goal scorer. The Sharks have had 12 players score goals so far this season. And then they have also had 25 different players register at least 1 point this season. And then 3 goalies have played. We'll talk about the goalies here a little bit more with Mackenzie, Blackwood, Kaapo, Kahkonen, and Magnus Krona. Between Kaapo, Kahkonen, and Blackwood, those two have started all the games, and Krona came in for relief, playing. He played about half the game. So, all right, let's continue to dig into this team. So we're going to look at kind of where this team ranks and where they kind of sit with some of the offensive numbers, and we'll kind of dive into the offense here a little bit more. In the 22 games they played, they have Corsi for 870. They've given up 800, or they've attempted 871 shots, which is near the bottom of the league. They've given up 1,205 shot attempts, which is the top or bottom, whatever way you want to kind of look at it, but it is bad. And their goals for percentage is at their Corsi for percentage is at 41.96. Shots for 420 actual shots on goal was 429 to 607. They shot 4% of 41.41. So this team is constantly getting outshot. If you want to break that down by Corsi for, so shot attempts per 60, they are one of the worst in the NHL, or they are the worst in the NHL. Looking at the graph, has a nice little graph where it kind of puts, if you're not watching YouTube, kind of a nice plot chart, and the Sharks are in the bottom left-hand corner of it. They're Corsi 4 per 60, so for 60 minutes of 5-on-5, they attempt basically 48 shots a game, and they give up little over 71 shot attempts per game. Not good. So, yeah, that's what we have seen from this team, right? Getting outshot. Expected goals. They've scored 22 goals and they've given up 58 goals at 5v5. So a 27.5% goals for. Expected goals for 38. Expected goals allowed 39.92. So they are definitely underperforming. They're finishing. They're just not. They're not scoring as much as you would expect. And expected goals for is 41.36. So that number is a little bit better, but still one of still like the worst in the league. So yeah, this team is struggling to create offense. And I think we knew that was coming. So and again, expected goals, looking at the plot chart, bottom left as well. This time they're joined with Chicago. Expected goals for per 60 minutes at 5v5. They produce 2 expected goals, and then expected goals allowed, they give up 3.16 in 60 minutes of 5v5 with a differential of -1. So basically they're getting outscored at 5v5 expectedly every minute, or 1 goal for every hour. Sorry. Looking at the Corsi, though, you can see, so this is a team rolling Corsi differential. So yes, they're getting outshot heavily every game, but this is a rolling, Evolving Hockey has a really nice rolling 10 games, so it kind of averages the last 10 games, and you can see some slight improvement. They're still, again, bottom of the league, one of the worst teams in the NHL. But you can see it's starting to kind of, it started very low and kind of working its, nice little wave working its way up. So they have seen some improvement over the last handful of games, and maybe this can start to regress towards the mean a little bit. But again, don't expect the Sharks to become some juggernaut powerhouse, especially because, they've outshot a team, once or twice this year. That's just, their formula to success is to, rely on outstanding goaltending, and then just try to squeak out whatever offense you can get going. So we'll start digging into the offense here. So 5v5 offense, this team averages 1.64 goals per game. They've scored 36 goals at 5v5 this year, and they produced 24.5 shots per game at 5v5. Hoffman's their leading goal scorer, like I said, with 6 goals this year. Hurdle, leading assist guy and most points. This year, basically when the Sharks are on the offense, they're minus 26% expected goals for compared to the league average, relative to, so they produce basically 0.25% less than what a league average offense should. They have a nice shot chart here where you can kind of see where their shots are, and the kind of high slot area, so that kind of from the dots up in the middle, dots heading towards the blue line in the middle, that kind of beautiful area that you want to try to create a lot of offense for. They just struggle to generate offense in that area because they just don't shoot a lot of shots. So around the net's not too bad, but it's not what you want to see, right? You want to see you get into that kind of high danger, like the team did last year. The team last year kind of rode on their high ability to get into high danger chances. Timo Meier and Erik Karlsson. that helps a lot. But this year they just have not been able to create sustained offense in the, especially in that high danger area. And that leads to why they're unable to score a lot of goals, because you're just not putting yourself in a prime position to score those goals at a frequent event. So before we continue digging into the offense, then we'll look at the defense, look at some of the forward lines, the defensive lines, and of course talk about the special teams and goalies. So plenty of more stuff coming here on today's episode of Locked On Sharks. Passion, drive, patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guarantee Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive with ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right. So let's continue to dig into the offense and kind of what we have seen this year from them. So your your forward lines. So lines that have played at least 30 minutes. Your best forward line, as much as it hurts me to say this, and part of shot attempts, as your Eklund, Calen, Kahkonen line. They played 31.7 minutes. They've in 5 games, and they have a Corsi for a team best Corsi for of 50.9%. So they're actually out shooting their opponents with the Eklund, Granlund, Kahkonen line. The Barabanov, Hurdle, Duclair line, RIP. Well, Barabanov should be back maybe on this road trip. He at least is traveling. In 30 minutes, they have 50% shot attempts. So they're dead even. Eklund, Hurdle, Zetterlund has played the most minutes together. They have 87.1 minutes in 14 games, and they're at 42%, which is the third best among qualifying forward lines. So not a lot of these lines just have not been able to stick together. Duclair, Hurdle, Zetterlund played 44 minutes. They have 41.5% shot attempts. Then Zetterlund, Granlund, Duclair, we've seen kind of recently, have played 5 games, and they have 40.4%. The Hoffman, Sturm, Zadina line has played 8 games at 39.7 minutes with a 31.4%. So that just goes into what we've talked about, where this team just cannot create sustained offense because they can't. They're just getting outshot night in and night out, and it's basically every line, right? It's every line is with the exception of 2, and Barabanov hasn't played since Game 6 this year. So this team is just continues to struggle to create any sustained offense, and we see why, right? They can't get shot attempts, and they can't get good quality shot attempts. But when you're looking at the chart, the heat chart of where the shots are coming from, a lot of stuff to the outside, but nothing. They're just not able to sustain good offense. We've seen improvements over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully when Barabanov gets back and whenever Logan Couture gets back, you can see the recipe for success. But the offense, if you want teams that usually shoot more tend to score more goals, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. The Sharks just aren't taking shots right now. So going on the defensive side, woof. So there's a same thing with the shot kind of heat map. The Sharks have been basically 1,060 minutes of 5v5 time. They've given up 55.8 expected goals in their defensive zone. They're giving up expected goals per 20% more expected goals per 60 compared to relative to the average NHL team. And they're giving up a lot of high quality shots right in front of the net, right from the dots, like just those perfect areas that you, as a goal scorer, that you're trying to go to. And the Sharks are basically just giving those areas. That's where teams are able to kind of tee off, and they're creating the offense that you want to see, right? I screwed up on that, but goals, they've given up 88 goals. They've 4 goals per game. Oops, getting ahead of myself here. Ferraro leads the team in blocks with 65 blocks. Burrow leads the team in hits with 44 minutes. And Ferraro leads the defenseman with average time on ice of 21.48 game. Sorry, 21.48 minutes per game. This team is just, we know it's been pinned in their own zone way too much, way too often. And that's kind of what happens there. So again, we have seen some improvement, but this is based off the entire season. And if the Sharks continue the way that they've played, you should see these numbers start to improve slowly but surely. So defensive pairings that have played at least 30 minutes. So the again, with these shot attempts, right? If you are leading, kind of able to create offense, leading offense, the Benning Addison pair leads the Sharks. They are the only pairing that have a positive Corsi. So 51.5%. So in 35.3 minutes, they have a 51.5% shot attempts. Next is the Ferraro Burrows. They played a little under 80 minutes. They have 47.7%. Then you have Ferraro Emberson, who's played 152 minutes. That is your kind of your leader among defensive minute pairings at 46.4. Vlasic Burrows at 88.6. They have 43.1. Ochociak Burrows 72.9 as at 41.4. Benning Burrows 33 or 34 minutes, 41.3. Ochociak Ruta at 88 minutes. That is your third most common defensive partner at 40%. For our Addison, which I was hoping to see would work out, definitely did not. 53 minutes. They played 39% Corsi. Maybe now that Addison's a little bit more comfortable, that we could maybe see that pairing again, because I think there's something there. But if Benning and Addison are playing well together, then maybe just keep that together. So Knizhov Ruda, 51 minutes at 38.4%. Ferraro Ruda, 49 minutes at 24%. And Vlasic Benning, 32 minutes at 24%. So a lot of ugly numbers there. It's a very stark comparison without Erik Karlsson around. So the defense is just, the defense is struggling. You can see, though, with some of the additions like Addison and Emberson, I think there's some pieces there for them to kind of continue to build upon. And I think it's just finding the right partners. And, I think Addison Benning has played well in the kind of small sample size we've seen. Ferraro Emberson, like that line has worked well, and that's been the biggest sample size, and that's the third best defensive pairing. And Vlasic Burrows, or whatever you kind of want to mix with Burrows. If you want Ochociak Burrows, you want Vlasic Burrows, that line seems to be okay there. So it'll be interesting to see when people start to kind of come back, especially with Jan Ruda out. I think he's skating as on the road trip. Kind of what they do here with some of these defensemen. But I think you can make an argument that Addison, Ferraro, Emberson and Burrows, like those guys should be in basically every night, and Benning as well. And then if you want to rotate the last spot between Ochociak, Ruda, and Vlasic, you can do that as well. So, but yeah, not a lot of positivity in those defensive stats. So before we continue, and we're going to look at the special teams, and then end positively with the goaltenders. We'll check in on those here in just 1 second. If you are looking for tickets to whatever, you want to go to a Warriors game, you want to go to a Sharks game, you want to go to a Niners game, you want to go see a theater event, whatever it is you want to do, Game Time is the way to go. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They're easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Views from all the seats in the venue, right? It is nothing worse than getting there and realizing you got a bad seat because you didn't know what the seat looked like when you got before you bought your tickets. They have you can see exactly where you're going to be sitting and what the situation is going to look like. Actually, the only thing worse is when you go to buy and then they slap a bunch of fees on top of it. You don't have to worry about that with Game Time. They show you all-in pricing up front, so you know exactly the price you're going to pay without hidden fees. You can buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's finish up here by looking at how the Sharks special teams have looked and where they've been kind of doing their damage or lack thereof of damage so far this year. So Sharks success rate 19.7%, which is actually 19th in the NHL. So especially since Calen and Addison has arrived, you have seen some improvement for them. Definitely not the busiest power play unit, but you have seen improvement this year in the power play. So that is good to see. Goals for, they scored 12 power play goals. They have given up 3 shorthanded goals. I think my prediction of them being the kind of the worst team when it came to that might not, especially with Calen Addison, probably not going to see that. But William Eklund leads the team in power play goals with 3. Hurdle has 4 assists and also has 6 power play points. And you can, so kind of the same thing as the other shot maps. The Sharks like to do their damage if you're looking at the net from the right wall. And that's kind of where they've been setting up. So be interested to see once Calen Addison kind of gets some more games under his belt, if this alters a little bit, especially, you know, with the 5-man forward unit, I think trying to kind of keep things a little bit lower. But they have been kind of attacking from the right side. Now, you know, you have usually Hoffman has kind of been on that side. He's been kind of your best shooter. And then Eklund kind of working behind the net. And they've also had some stuff with Granlund behind the net. But, you know, it kind of makes sense having, that's been kind of where they've been trying to work from without a defensive or without a defenseman who can kind of a reliable defenseman. So be interested to see where this kind of continues and shakes out as the season goes on. But they've been able to kind of working from the right side. So expect with Addison kind of coming on board and getting used to it, maybe things will kind of even out here a little bit as they can kind of use the full ice instead of trying to kind of compact things to keep themselves from getting in trouble without a defenseman on the ice. So on the penalty kill, so the Sharks penalty kill is at 73.1% kill rate. That is, where were they at? They were 28th overall. Only the Winnipeg Jets, Nashville Predators, New York Islanders, which is surprising with the Islanders because of how defensive they are, and then the Minnesota Wild have a worse penalty kill than the Sharks, which is, you were kind of hoping this would be the one, continue to be a sustainable thing, especially from what we've seen. But I guess there's just too many pieces missing, and you've been missing Logan Couture, who's been one of your best penalty killers for years now. So maybe when Couture comes back, you'd have Couture, Sturm, Luke Kunin, like you can kind of see the forward department, you know, really solidifying. If Zadina comes back, Zetterlund has been playing a little bit, Hurdle, like gives you some more options, and Granlund as well. So you kind of can throw some more bodies out there and maybe guys kind of slot in a little bit better when Logan Couture comes back. So I wouldn't be surprised if when Couture comes back, you see the penalty kill continue to get better with it. So they don't have any goals for it. No shorthanded goals. Interesting to see Zetterlund, though, who did play in last game on the penalty kill and did have a really nice chance. So if you're looking to maybe trying to spark some offense, Zetterlund could be a potential penalty killer guy as the season goes on. They give up 21 goals on the power play, so scored 12 power play goals themselves, and they've given up 21. Ferraro leads all penalty killers in 72 minutes among defensemen, and then Luke Cunningham among forwards at 60 minutes for them. So, and basically whatever power play wants to do whatever they want. Expected goals allowed per 60 is at 10.28, which is 40% more than the league average. So they are basically just kind of letting the other team. There's not much kind of keeping the other team from scoring other than the goalies at this point. So speaking of the goalies, Mackenzie, Blackwood, Kaapo, Kahkonen, and Magnus Corona. Blackwood and Kaapo Kahkonen have both the raw numbers don't do these guys favors, right? But you know that be watching the Sharks, like you know what this team has been going through this year and what these guys are kind of going through this season. So Kaapo Kahkonen, we'll start with our guy Mackenzie Blackwood. So he started 14 games, has a 3-9-2 record. He's made 519. He's faced 519 shots, 468 saves, 902 save percentage this season with a 3.60 goals against average. Again, with what these guys have been doing, like that's if either one of these guys finishes this season with a 900 save percentage, that's going to be a small miracle if the Sharks continue the way they're playing. So, Kaapo Kahkonen, he's started 9 games. He had 8 games. He started, 2-6 record. He's faced 271 shots and made 241 saves. 889 save percentage with a 412 goals against average. And then Magnus Corona has played 30 and a half minutes. He faced 17 shots, made 13 saves, 765 with a 787. Magnus Corona not ready for the NHL, right? Poor guy got thrown in there with some injuries, but goal saved above expected. With everything that these guys have kind of faced, these guys are still putting up positive numbers. So Blackwood has given up 51 goals. He's expected to give up basically 52. He's a 1.9 goals saved above expected. Kaapo Kahkonen, if you remember last year, was literally the worst or one of the worst goalies in the NHL when it came to goals saved above expected. So far this season, he's at a very respectable 0.9 goals saved above expected. These guys have been under siege all season, and they have easily been the bright spot for the Sharks. Blackwood and Kaapo Kahkonen's play. Blackwood much more so, but Kaapo Kahkonen's had a very strong season as well and has really started to kind of find his game recently. So, they're the reason why the Sharks aren't actually losing by more, to be honest. You can point to several games, even the Caps game. Blackwood made some ridiculous saves in that game. His goals, he should have given up basically I think he should have given up 3.5 goals. He gave up 1. The final score was 2-1. So they're right there. That's your Mackenzie Blackwood has been outstanding. Kaapo Kahkonen has had a really, really good start to the season as well. So, that is your quarter mark 2023-2024 Sharks. They have struggled. As anybody who's watched the Sharks for more than a game or more than 5 minutes can quickly realize that this team has struggled. So, but you can kind of see some stuff starting to come together, right? You can see some of the defensive pairings come together. You can see the offense, the Corsi is, starting to get more shot attempts, starting to get more sustained offense, more offensive zone time. This team is starting to kind of look like a regular or just a regular bad NHL team instead of just a historically bad NHL team. So, and that's what we want. We want to see growth and development this season. So, we'll do another one of these at the midway point. So, that's early. It's January, beginning of January-ish is the midway point. So we'll do another one of these and kind of see where the team has continued to grow and evolve. And then probably I think the next one will be right around the trade deadline, and the team's going to look way different at the trade deadline than what we see right now. So that's going to be it for me today. Excuse me. When you guys are done checking out this, go check out the Locked On Sports Today channel on YouTube. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories, sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts and or watch on YouTube as well. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to look at Will Smith, some of Will Smith's recent games, Quentin Mussey's recent games, and Jake Furlong, and kind of dive into some of the tape and what I've been seeing watching these guys, and what they need to continue to, kind of put on the amateur scout hat and see where these guys are continuing, how they're growing their games and what we've seen from them. So make sure you guys are following along for that. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Until tomorrow, bye, friends.